Happy New Year's Eve, everyone. It is Monday evening, and we're in the waning hours of 2018. I'm going to warn you ahead of time. This is going to be a long video because I've got a lot of weather in the near term to talk about. I've got a review of 2018 in this video and a preview of January of 2019. Plenty of thoughts on the middle of winter coming up later in this video. Let's not waste any time. Before I get to this, though, I do want to quickly review what has happened in December. This was our original December forecast, put out as part of the winter forecast in very early November. It was like around the 3rd or 4th of the month, I think. The overall idea with the original December forecast, as you can see, biggest anomalies on the warm side would be up in the northern plains, northern Rockies as well. When we did an update on December 1st, we brought the warmer than average temperatures a little bit closer, but not quite to our area, with a large expanse of warmer than average temperatures up near the U.S.-Canadian border. Here's what's actually happened. It was an okay forecast on a national scale. This was right. Even this little cool pocket in New England was right. I was not aggressive enough bringing the warmth to the south and the east. And I expressed that concern when I did the update on December 1st. I just didn't pull the trigger on bringing the warm anomalies far enough south and east. So overall, December forecast decent, just not warm enough here locally. Started off on a chilly note this month, but then it got warm in a hurry. All right, here's a look at 24-hour rainfall totals. We'll talk about our current weather and what you can expect tonight. It's going to be a rollicking night of weather. We've picked up a roughly 3/4 of an inch worth of rain as an average across the area so far today, and the rain is going to wind down some this evening, but some places are going to end up with maybe close to an inch before all is said and done here. Now, the numbers I'm showing you here were valid a couple of hours ago. I will need to get an update on these numbers as we go through the evening. As of 5:30 or so, we were about 0.4 inches shy of getting to second place, but I suspect we've picked up about 0.4 inches at the airport by this point. It's been raining pretty hard in Trumbull County over the last few hours. So I think we can pretty much guarantee at this point that we're going to make it to second place on the list of wettest years on record in Youngstown. We're not going to make it to number 1. That was 2011 with 54 inches. What a wet year it has been. So it's appropriate. It is pouring rain on this final evening of 2018 as of 7:30 or so. Steadiest and heaviest rain from Mahoning and Trumbull counties heading into Mercer County. The rain to our south and west is starting to let up, and I think that trend will continue as we go deeper into the evening. This is a kind of a textbook area of low pressure, a mid-latitude cyclone, if you will, centered out here with, on the warm side, rain and even some thunder earlier on down here. And then on the back side, where the air is cold enough, it is a snowy New Year's Eve in parts of Wisconsin, such as Milwaukee and Green Bay, and then heading up towards northern Michigan as well. All right, temperature-wise, this is going to be one of our big stories this evening. Our warmest temperature of the day will occur at the very last minute. Our high today will occur at 11:59. Our high tomorrow will probably occur at or just after midnight. We've got a surge of warmth heading our way, and it's accompanied by some wind. And I think as the ball drops tonight, locally we're going to be close to 60 degrees, but the wind is going to be howling. A wind advisory out for everyone, a high wind warning in western New York. I'd be surprised actually if the Weather Service upgraded to a high wind warning up near the lake shore. Probably not for our area, but I wouldn't be surprised if they upgraded to a high wind warning in Ashtabula County, Lake County, Cuyahoga County as well. It's breezy out right now, but the wind is not crazy. I'm expecting a quick ramp up in our winds as we head through the evening, and it'll be really noticeable as we head towards midnight tonight. I think we could see some peak gusts between 11 p.m. and say 2 or 3 in the morning of 45, if not 50 miles per hour or so. And with an inch worth of rain today in some spots, and the ground isn't frozen, everything's going to be loose. Any weak trees with this kind of wind and this wet of a soil, they could come down, and we could have some power outage problems overnight tonight. The wind is going to diminish some as we head towards tomorrow morning. In fact, the wind won't be much of a story at all by about daybreak tomorrow morning. It's just a handful of hours for tonight. So here's a look at what we can expect if you happen to be celebrating in Youngstown tonight. First Night Youngstown, 21 WFMJ, the media sponsor of First Night. It's always a great time. Boy, get ready for the wind. I think, again, we're going to be gusting north of 40 miles per hour in some spots as we go towards midnight tonight. But temperature-wise, hey, hard to beat this for January 1st. And what a change from last year. Some of the coldest weather we've had over the last 365 days occurred right around New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, 2017 into 2018. At midnight, it was 5. It's going to be 55 degrees warmer at midnight tonight compared to New Year's Eve last year. So what a big change. I showed you this last week, but in case you missed this, just some New Year's Day weather facts. After that bitterly cold night last year, our high on New Year's Day was just 13. Ugh. That was a tie of a record low for the first day of January with -1. Warmest on record, 65 in 1985. Ironically, it got very, very cold just a couple of weeks later in January. That's the famous Reagan's second inaugural cold outbreak. They had to move the inauguration indoors because it was so cold in D.C. Well, we shared in that as well. That was a couple of weeks after a very warm New Year's Day. The coldest high temperature was 10, 1969. As you can see, we were just a few warmer than that. Last year, 6.1 inches worth of snow, 1964, the snowiest New Year's Day on record. All right, uneventful start to the year tomorrow. The wind, again, not much of a story, just a lot of clouds tomorrow. Ho-hum. Maybe there's a sprinkle. That should be about it. Also, an uneventful day on Wednesday with limited amounts of sun. We'll finally see some sunshine, it looks like, as we head into the day on Thursday. All right, let's talk about January. This was our original January forecast put out almost 2 months ago as part of the winter forecast. The overall idea is as winter would progress, the cold anomalies would start sinking south and east, and after a pretty benign December, it would probably turn pretty cold compared to average in January. That was the original forecast. Well, we've had to make some adjustments to this original forecast. The models are really, really stubbornly hanging on to the warmth across the country, a good chunk of the country, as we go through the first half of January. I still think we can salvage the second half of January as far as getting some sustained cold in here, but the first half, it's looking warmer and warmer. And I'll tell you, it better be bonkers cold at the end of January and into February, or there's going to be a lot of winter forecasts, including from yours truly, that bust. It better get really cold, because December was way warmer than average. First half of January is looking way above average, and it's going to be hard to make up ground unless it gets really, really cold. Most of us don't want it to get really, really cold, but I always want to get the forecast right, and I am concerned about our cold-looking winter forecast busting if it doesn't turn cold in a hurry in a few weeks. So my idea is here it'll end up being another above-average month, warmer than average month, mostly thanks to the first half of the month. Might finally get some sustained cold second half of the month. This is not a snowy pattern either. We don't have any snow in our 7-day forecast through the first 7 days of January, and we had less than 4 inches in December. The overall idea with the winter forecast as far as snow is concerned, that it would be near to maybe even slightly above average snow-wise. I think I'm going to have to adjust that and start really suggesting that the winter as a whole will be below average snowfall-wise, and I think January will follow suit. Again, we might be able to salvage some winter second half of the month, but the first half of January is not looking wintry at all. All right, quickly, before we leave you tonight, a quick review of 2018. What an interesting year weather-wise. Here's the temperature trace for the whole year, and I've shown this graphic a few times on Weather for Weather Geeks, but a few things to point out: how cold it was at the start of the year, how warm it got in February. April was cold, but then we flipped a switch right into summer. We had very little spring. We also had very little fall. It was warm all the way through September and the first first couple of weeks of October, and then bang, it got cold and stayed pretty cold all the way through November and early December. We didn't have real substantial transitional periods this year. And a month-by-month breakdown of things, after that cold April, 8.7 degrees warmer than average in May, 6 straight warmer than average months, and then cold November. In fact, November and December have been mirror images of each other. It was 4.8 degrees colder than average in November, 4.8 warmer than average here in the month of December. Precipitation-wise, wet year. The numbers aren't final yet. We still got to, finalize these numbers by midnight tonight, but we'll end up probably a little above average in December. That's 4 straight wetter than average months. We'll end up somewhere around a foot above average. Again, second wettest year on record. The only 2 dry months compared to average were July and August. Some other weather highlights or extremes from a monthly perspective in 2018. 4th warmest February, 3rd wettest February. The 5th coldest April was followed by the warmest May on record. It was a wet June, and it was a wet September as well, and September was also quite warm. And then we had that cold November, the 7th coldest on average, and in December we had less than 4 inches of snow. You would think we'd be closer to the top of the list, but we've had some pretty snow-free Decembers in our recorded history, so only good for 12th place on the list of least snowy Decembers here in Youngstown. All right, I threw a lot of information at you there. I'll have more updates on social media throughout the evening on the wind and the rain as we head closer to midnight. I wish you and yours a very happy and healthy and prosperous 2019, and we'll have the first edition of Weather for Weather Geeks back here, same time, same place, on Tuesday evening. Happy New Year, everyone.